Greetings. I'm back after a bit of a hiatus. Currently, I've been in Bulgaria for 3 months, supposed to be snowboarding. There was no snow, so I've been up like 4 times. It's going to be a little bit of a different angle on the channel. I'm going to be talking about more just general stuff I'm interested in. That fits in with being a digital nomad. That fits in with... There's cars coming past, so you're going to have to deal with this noise, I'm afraid. That fits in with politics, freedom, fire, financial independence, all these kind of things dovetail. Crypto. So I'm just going to generally talk about stuff like that. Pretty similar theme to what the channel was before, but it's just stuff I find interesting. The first thing, I don't know if everyone's up to speed with Silicon Valley Bank, which crashed about a week ago. Quick summary of that is they took depositors' money, they invested it in 10-year government bonds, then the interest rate went up, so the government bonds were worth less. People heard about this, there was a run on the bank, and they couldn't give them the money. What I would say about this is I have a lot of bank accounts. I have 5 or 6 bank accounts, and you should have multiple bank accounts. I'd highly recommend that if you don't already, ideally in different countries. The UK has some great challenger banks, like Wise, Monzo, Revolut, Starling, accounts like that. But it's probably also a good idea to have a bank account in another country if you can do that as well. I'm currently looking into doing that myself. Wise lets you have bank accounts that are based in other countries. So yeah, it's just something probably most people don't think about. When I travel with multiple cards and multiple different accounts. I travel with 2 Revolut cards in case one gets lost. And this is all stuff you can do, and it's trivial. And if you lose a wallet or something, it doesn't matter. You just cancel that. If you have a fintech bank account, not some crappy legacy bank account, and this is something I've definitely noticed, and you've probably noticed too, is that legacy banks, HSBC, Citibank, Bank of America, Lloyds Bank, all these old world banks are all total and utter shit. Their apps suck. HSBC's business website, business banking website, I think it was actually designed in 1997. Just to give you an idea of how shit it was. To download your company accounts for a year, you couldn't just press a button and download them. You had to go not just into every month. You had to go into every month, and every month had different sheets. And then each sheet might have multiple sheets within it. So it took 3 hours just to download bank statements for a year. I now do this with Monzo, 1 click, done. Much better app, much better website. Legacy banks are shit because it's very hard to set up banks, and they haven't had any competition for decades. If you have any legacy bank accounts, maybe you should keep one, just because a bit more background on the Silicon Valley Bank thing, which was incidentally a bank used by about 40,000 startups. That's a huge issue. But anyway, background on that is only the big 4 banks in the US are now quote unquote safe. So people are leaving smaller banks and going to the big banks, which means the legacy banks can be even more shit. So this situation is obviously horrific because you don't want to be depositing money and then have it just disappear. It's going to make banking even more crap if it's more monopolized by shit, out-of-date banks with no competition. Fintech in the UK doesn't seem to have been affected, but the main defense is just having multiple accounts, spread your assets amongst multiple accounts, have multiple cards when you travel, spread it all around. Own a bit of Bitcoin maybe. Try and get out of the banking system a little bit. But it seems like there's a lot more banks are going to go bust, certainly in the US, because a lot of them did this basic shit. And of course, the story is that the main board of Silicon Valley Bank were hired not because they're competent, not because they knew what they were doing, but because they're women. It had a racist, sexist hiring policy where the head of risk was a brown woman of color. On her bio, it didn't say why she's good at being the head of risk. It said completely irrelevant shit about how she's woke. And then let me get this straight. And everyone should be in favour of meritocracy. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what gender you are. I want you to be good at your job. Putting irrelevant, political, backward, far left shit like that on your bio is a red flag, because it shouldn't be relevant to running a company competently. But yeah, these incompetent idiots at Silicon Valley Bank who ran it, all women. Hopefully they'll all go to prison for multiple decades. They probably won't, because they're woke, and woke is like a get out of jail free card, isn't it? But anyway, yeah. So just make sure you have multiple bank accounts, especially when you travel. Multiple cards. If you have a modern bank, you can lock that card in the app and then unlock it if you need it. You can restrict it in all sorts of ways. That's what a modern banking app should have. HSBC, and I have a couple of other legacy credit cards or banking apps. It's like if the iPhone existed in 1997, the apps would be better than these apps. It's like they've deliberately set out to make the app as shit as possible. Like one of the credit cards from a legacy bank that I have, it has an Apple Watch app, but you have to somehow verify it in a way that no other Apple Watch payment card has ever needed. It's just shit. It loads slowly. It's just complete crap. So it's good that some fintech, another car going past, it's good that some fintech companies have made banking a bit more modern, but the sooner crypto just wipes out the legacy banking system and replaces it, where we can just own our own assets and trust that, instead of having to effectively lend our money to a bank so it can gamble with the money we thought was safely deposited. Yeah, and you, mate. The better. I don't know. Did he just beep at me because I'm recording video? What a prick. What a prick. Yeah, most people don't realise that their bank deposits are being gambled by banks, and you're only covered up to, it's 250 grand in the US, it's like 100 grand in the UK or something. There were companies with, like, I think Roku had $500 million in Silicon Valley Bank. Why was that in your checking account? But then where else do you put it? So this is a huge problem. Probably not, most of you probably don't have half $1 trillion in the bank account. But yeah, just spread risk, open multiple accounts, and don't hire woke people because they're woke. Just hire the best people. Be a meritocracy, like everyone should be, who isn't a racist woke moron. Alright guys, that's enough from me, it's enough of my rant. See you on the road.